Hey everyone, this is Mike, and I've had the request to make a skill guide video for some characters and closers. There's also been quite a few comments lately on how they should build their passives or what PNA they should get on their characters. So instead of always having to address the comments like that, I decided to make this video where I go over a basic skill build for most of the characters, like how you would build a character skill-wise, passive-wise, and PNA-wise. So that when you pick up a new character or a new character gets released, you'll be able to just figure out your own way on how you want to build your character. So of course, there are two different skill builds that you can get, one for PvE and one for PvP. PvP is really different in how you want to build your character, because you're going to be focusing more on defensive stuff, as well as some crit rate and stuff like that, whereas in PvP you're more going to be focused on crit damage, because there are certain caps in PvP. But first, let's go over how you want to start building your character with your normal active skills. So in general, you want to level all of your skills to level 10, except your special moves. Those you want to get to level 6. The reason for that is because at level 10 you unlock your Master Cube. And for most skills, the Master Cube makes it a lot stronger. In Luna's case, for example, it allows a bunch of your skills to get a special effect when you use your counter move. So that's why the Master Cube on Luna is important for most of her skills. This is the same for most characters, so in general, as a rule, get your normal skills to level 10. The reason why you want to get level 6 on your special moves is because the Master Cube unlocks at level 6, because you're spending 5 skill points on these, whereas your normal skills only take 2. So those are the first two things. Normal skills to level 10, special skills to level 6. And then keep the leftover skill points at that point for now, because you won't have that many passives unlocked yet as you're leveling up. So yeah, that's that. With your EX moves, it works the exact same way. So level 10 unlocks the Master Cube. Oh, I just noticed I actually haven't got option cubes in these yet. But yeah, basically level 10 unlocks the Master Cube, also unlocks the option cube, which I forgot to mention. So that's why you definitely wanted to get those. If you want to get your special, your EX skills to level 10, you are going to need tunes, on most cases I believe, at least one of them. Or you will also need to supplement it with this thing, the amplifier from Nidocris, which is why my EX Ravenwing is level 13. But yeah, that's your basic skill build. You want to get normal skills to 10, special moves to 6, keep your leftover skill points for now. The reason why you want to keep them for now is, well, when you're leveling up at least, is because you're going to unlock passives with your, what's it called? Official agent, regular agent, and I think special agent has passives as well, though I'm not entirely sure about that. So when you're leveling up, keep the leftover skill points and then throw them in your passives once you unlock them. With Task Force, there's going to be 5 new passives as well, which I'm going to switch to my Wolfgang once I'm done explaining this, because the skill build and passive build for Task Force characters is completely different. So that's why I'm taking a normal character first, because there's only 3 Task Force characters in the game right now. So when we look over the passives, there are a few that are a must-have, and there's a few that I think are not really useful. So first of all, attack. This is used on every single character, no exceptions. Normal attack training is something that you only take on Violet, because Violet scales with this. But for everybody else you don't take this. Crit damage, pretty self-explanatory. I personally don't take crit rate and pierce rate. Crit rate because you can get pretty high crit rate on your normal stuff. I think I have something around 65% right now, which is plenty. In my opinion, it's really all about getting as much damage as you can. Pierce rate, I tried to go for like a full pierce build at some point, and I really didn't see myself killing bosses that much faster. So I just decided to invest the skills in my normal active skills, and the skill points in my active skills instead. HP, defense, resource reduction, all pretty useless. If you really need these, you can always supplement it with PNA, which I'll show you in a bit. And you can always get tunes for this as well, if really need be. Airback, you get this pretty much on everyone except on Tina. Tina doesn't use airstrike, so you get rid of airstrike on Tina. Back attack, I think, is pretty much for everyone. Movement speed, meh. Again, pierce rate, don't need it. Crit rate, don't use it either. ABC crit, take this on everyone. This is a must-have as well, it just increases damage to everything. And then chase you take on most characters as well. Now, for the situational stuff like chase damage, back damage and air damage, who do you want to take it on and who do you not want to take it on? For example, Luna uses a lot of air, back and chase procs, because when I look at my passive over here, this thing, all skills used on the ground count as airstrikes. So in other words, Luna is going to get airstrike procs on everything she does, so I take airstrike. But then for back and chase, so we go back to our normal skills. This is how you can find out if you want back or if you want chase or if you want both. So when you hover over, this doesn't say anything, but you also need to look in your skill cubes. For example, the master cube here says that this skill always counts as back and chase, meaning it gets a forced proc. Another one like that would be, I think, my FM2. Yeah, always counts as back chase. This thing is, well, it's awakened, so I don't have skill cubes, but says always counts as chase. This also always counts as chase. And I think it also gets a force back proc. Yeah, always counts as back chase and critical even. So that's how you basically find out. You go through your skills, you look at your skill cubes, and if you, for example, find that it always says that it procs back attack, for example, but you never see chase being mentioned, then you just don't take chase. Like, you just leave that out and you only get air and back, for example. So that's how you can find out if you want to get all three or if you only want to get two of them. Something like that. Back attack you take pretty much on everyone, even if you don't get the forced procs, because you'll get this quite often anyways, because you can move behind the boss. That's why. So yeah, that's it for skills. Normal, you level everything to 10, special moves to 6, then you invest everything else in your passives, because passives are the most important, which you'll see when I go over Task Force later. And then with the leftover skill points you can go back, and as you can see I pretty much have everything at max except this thing. So yeah, you can go back and then max the skills that you use the most. Now, for example, on Soma, there is a skill that I don't even use at all because it's worthless for damage and it drains your mana for no reason. So there are some characters have skills that you just don't use. Yuri is another example of that. Her grab, really good in PvP, but for PvE completely useless, so you don't use it. So you can use those points to spend on maxing out your other skills. So that's it for PvE. I will go over the PvP stuff later towards the end of the video, because I want to kind of have it separate. So that's for skills and passives. Now, if I look at PNA, I'm gonna go over the stuff really quickly because this is some stuff I kind of talked about before already. I'll open up my thingies over here. Don't even know why I have this, delete this. So for your blues in the offensive strain, you always want raw power rate. Which one you want to get depends on your character. Luna is physical, so you have physical power rate. If you have a Psy character, you get Psy power rate. If you have a hybrid character, you get physical and Psy power rate. The way you can find out if it's a physical or a Psy character again, or a hybrid, just hover over here, and it says skill details does X amount of physical power. This does physical damage. Physical, physical, physical. So you know Luna is a physical character. Is if it would say Psy, or if some skills would say physical, some Psy, or some do both, then you know it's a hybrid. So that's how you know which one of these you want to pick. This one, the only worth ones are penetration or crit rate. I still have penetration on here. I might swap it to crit rate and get my crit rate to like 85 or something. So as you can see, like crit rate, you really don't need to invest in the passives. And then this bottom one, you basically take whichever you use the most, which in Luna's case is airstrike. For someone like Tina, you'd get chase, and for I think Nata, you might get back, but I'm not entirely sure because I don't really play Nata that much. But for most characters, just get the proc that you are going to get the most. Defensive strains, well, I still have like a bunch of random things in here. Defensive strains, HP rate for this, 1 physical reduction, 1 Psy reduction, and then HP rate for the purple one again. All pretty useless stuff, to be honest. Unless you're really struggling to survive through mechanics, of course. And then, as I said, here you can get some of your mana back. So for the blue one, the most useful one is MP rate. This is skill cooldown reduction, and damage bonus during empowered state. Again, cooldown reduction and damage bonus during empowered state. So these you basically take one of each. And then when we go to special strain, also pretty straightforward. One is always going to be weapon affinity, because it's just flat damage that you get on all of your skills. Then you take the conditional proc that you get the most, which in Luna's case is airstrike. And then actually I should probably get back attack for this one, but I decided to get chase because chase procs are stronger than back procs. So I decided to go for chase instead of back, even though I can probably proc back attack a lot more often. But yeah, this one is kind of open to your own interpretation. I know for buy, for example, I have attack speed on this, because buy with attack speed is really powerful and also a lot more fun to play. So that's why I have attack speed for buy. But usually you're gonna have weapon affinity, aerial, and then back, or for some characters, chase. If it's Tina, but for example, then this will be chase and this will be back instead of the airstrike. So that's how you do your special strains. And then amplifier strains, I talked about this in I think my last video, the Bearland video. All of these strains are pretty fucking useless. So I'm just getting these things every now and then. I already stopped doing the content even. I might do it again at some point. But yeah, all pretty normal stuff. So that's how you do your PNAs. Let's go over PvP then, because that's the only thing I didn't touch up yet. Now you're gonna see I have a bunch of skill points left over and that not everything is maxed, because ever since the merger of the two servers from NA and EU to a world server, PvP has been super laggy for me, so I don't PvP anymore. But basically, you're going to invest a lot in your passives. Now, you're gonna already see there's a lot of different things in here compared to PvE. So reinforced power you still want this because it's flat damage. Crit damage you don't want, because crit damage is capped at 200%. And if I look at my Luna, I have almost 600% crit damage. So I really don't need this extra talent, or well, passive. Crit rate, however, is very important, so you want this. Pierce rate is also good, because everybody is going to spec into defensive stuff. So that's why you want pierce rate. Again, take all of the defensive stuff. Air attack back, you want both of these. Speed move can be useful for evading stuff. I could actually just get more pierce rate here, actually. So again, pierce crit. ABC crit damage you don't take because it's useless. Transcendental power also useless because that's only a PvE stuff. And now this is an exception where you want chase damage on all of your characters, even if they never have forced chase procs. Because when you're PvPing, you're going to be comboing your opponent, and when you are comboing your opponent, they always get chase procced. So that's why you want chase damage on pretty much everybody. And then of course, once you have done all of these passives, that's when you go back to your active skills. And then again, it's the same thing where you want level 10 on the normal ones, and then level 6 on your FMs, and then you can go and cap out skills that you use the most for the most damage. Oh, and FM4 cannot be used in PvP. So that's how you would do it differently, PvE and PvP wise. So PvP is much more on the crit rate, pierce rate, and defensive stuff, whereas PvE is more focused on crit damage and just flat damage percent that you can get on the enemy. Now let me hop over to my Wolfgang real quick, because he has task force. He's not max level yet. I don't really play him that much anymore. I mainly got him to see what task force really got. But his skill build is going to be really different. So as you can see on his active skills, these things are all level 10, well, this is technically level 6, but I got a +1 on one of my tunes. Level 15, 20, 10, 6, 10, 20, 10, 6, 10, well, 11 from tunes, and 6. Now, the reason why is because task force drains you of skill points. So first of all, your last special move with your task force is already very expensive, but when we go to passives, you can see that I have some task force passives over here, and these go up to level 30. So I think it's 60 skill points per passive that you can have. So that's why task force characters are more focused on passives than they actually have on your normal skills. So that's why, as you can see down here as well, all of my skills are relatively low level, quote unquote, because, well, so much to level 20 or halfway leveled up, but most of the stuff is just level 10, and then the leftover skill points were put into my skills that either do the most damage or that I use the most. And most of my other passives are in my task force, most of my skill points are in my task force passives over here. So as you can see, attack, crit damage, standard stuff, air back, ABC crit, PF. I don't take chase because Wolfgang doesn't really have chase procs, so that's why I don't have chase. Then TF, combat training, might not look that amazing, but it's actually pretty good. TFC attack, ABC damage, so you always want this. And then ABC crit damage as well, so that's why you want to take this as well. So those are the 3 extra passives that you want to take on your task force characters, but they drain you of your skill points, so that's why your normal active skills are going to suffer from that a little bit. But it makes up for it because these give damage to all of your skills, wherein if I were to invest it in just one skill, it's just the one skill that does more damage. So yeah, that's the difference in between task force and non-task force characters. I think this works in PvP as well. Yes, so if you were to PvP with a task force character, you can get the defensive stuff as well. Because what does this give? Improves overall defensives. Doesn't really say what it does. This is completely useless, by the way, so don't get this. But this is something that you could get if you want to PvP. I'm not entirely sure because, well, I haven't PvP'd in ages, but I think it's something that you could get. So yeah, that's pretty much it. To go over things real quick again. When you're leveling, put your normal skills to level 10, your special moves to level 6. Invest as much in passives as you can. Crit rate, pierce rate, pretty useless. These defensive stuffs as well. Movement speed, meh. Again, pierce crit, don't want it. Crit damage, PF damage, and chase depending on the character. So for ABC stuff, just read your skills and see what you want. And then when you have task force characters, that's when you also take these 3 passives as well. And then once you've spent all of your skill points in your passives, you go back to your active skills and you just invest skill points in whatever you deem is the most worth to invest them in. So yeah, that's it going to be for me. If you still have any leftover questions, feel free to ask them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. I think I went over almost everything. Of course, with PNA, again, Wolfgang is a Psy character, for example, so Psy rate. Also have penetration, I mean airstrike, HP, reduction, HP, MP, cooldown, damage bonus, cooldown, damage bonus, special strain, weapon affinity, air back. And I don't have the new Bearland thing unlocked in anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you learned something. Again, if you have questions, feel free to ask them, and I'll see you in the next one.